We're going to start discussing the climate change effects. So the effects of human-caused global warming are happening now, are irreversible, and will worsen in the decades to come. So it is a reality, and you can see the effects, they have been mentioned everywhere. And then thanks to the predictions and the data available and the models that scientists hold, they know that what will be the future scenarios and what will be the main consequences of climate change. So taken as a whole, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change know that the range of published evidence indicates that the net damage costs of climate change are likely to be significant and to increase over time. So there is economic consequences also related to climate change, as you can imagine. So scientists have a high confidence that the global temperatures will continue to rise. So now the key point is to know how much they will rise and if we can actually stop this rising at some point, and what will be the safe conditions for the humanity and for the whole world. So if you Google the consequences of climate change, there are many, and it depends also on the region of the world. I'm just going to touch base some of the key consequences of climate change, and these are better explained also in some very good websites, including the one of the NASA that I've been talking about, some reports, IPCC reports, and also information of Australia. Okay, so the temperature will continue to rise. We all know that, but this will not be uniform or smooth across the country, the countries, and over time. So in this video, you can see the projections of temperature anomalies from 2000 to 2100. For each year, the difference between the model projected 30-year temperature average and the 1970 and 1999 average are shown. And then we also have the distinction between two scenarios, B1 and A2. B1 being the global environmental concerns more emphasized, and B1 is a lower greenhouse gas emission scenario, while A2 is future socioeconomic development and regional issues are emphasized, and worldwide cooperation on environmental issues is de-emphasized. A2 is a higher greenhouse gas emissions scenario. Okay, so these videos are made in temperature change in Fahrenheit, and these are more focused on the region on America. What you can see is the distribution or the increase in temperature is not homogeneous, and it varies, yes, depending on the region. But obvious things are that A2 scenario shows a higher impact on the temperature due to climate change. Another key effect that scientists and governments look at is the changes in precipitation patterns. Again, what I'm showing you is two scenarios. One is the conservative scenario, and A2 is the more economic development, which will lead to more greenhouse gas emissions. What you can see here is that the anomalies in precipitation are even more pronounced, where you can see regions that will significantly decrease, while in other areas there will be high loads of precipitation, right? Especially on spring. We're talking here about the northern hemisphere, of course, but this same pattern has been observed in other parts of the world, including Australia, where we have information that the precipitation patterns are not even among the country. Another climate change effect is the sea level rise. We know that ice from the glaciers and ice sheets, which form on land and contain water, can significantly increase the sea level. But there are some other factors that can also increase the sea level. This includes the increase in temperature, which can lead to an increase in volume of the sea. It is worth mentioning that this impact is very important because 39% of the world's population around live on or within 100 kilometers of a seashore. And this is also very important in Australia, right? Because most of the urban settlements are located in the near the sea. Another effect that is a big concern is that the Arctic will likely to become ice-free. And this is one of the effects that has been widely studied, because that will actually increase the amount of energy that is being absorbed by the earth, and it will have a more powerful impact, or an amplified impact on the increase in temperature due to the albedo, the changes in albedo. Some other natural phenomena will be amplified due to climate change. These include hurricanes and also El Niño and La Niña phenomena. El Niño is a natural earth system phenomenon and is not directly associated with or caused by global warming. However, since this phenomenon is associated with the change in temperature of the air and also in the oceans, this obviously will be amplified due to climate change. It is time to ask ourselves, what are the likely impacts of climate change on the science and engineering profession in Australia? We have big challenges now, and engineers are at the forefront. Why? Because they need to develop better ways to monitor climate change, and they also need to develop solutions for climate change effects. Government entities, along with academia and industry, have done research related to the climate change effects in Australia, and what are the things, the actions that will be carried out in order to cope with the increase in temperature and all the associated effects that we were discussing before. So this is one example of this information that is available now. This is from the CSIRO, and is a compilation of information about climate change in Australia. Information has been collected regarding temperature, precipitation, and other important key effects of climate change. They have collected data, historical data, and they have used this to develop models for predicting what would be the future consequences. The projections are not very positive. As you can see, for instance, the anomalies in temperature will be likely to increase, and it will be very temperature variations will be more and more intense. Here we present the rainfall variations and the climate models that indicate that it will be less rainfall in the southern areas of Australia, especially in winter, and in southern and eastern areas in spring, caused by the contraction in the rainfall belt towards the higher latitudes. Future changes in summer tropical rainfall in northern Australia remain highly uncertain. So it is also likely that the most intense rainfall events in most locations will become more extreme, driven by a warmer and wetter atmosphere. So in conclusion, rainfall variations will not be even among the country. By looking at only temperature and precipitation, the scientists have already concluded some of the major impacts in different regions in Australia. This is an example, and this is for southeast Queensland. There will be less water for cities, industries, agriculture, and natural ecosystems. There will be less frost damage to crops, but there will be higher wheat yields and lower wheat quality. There will be also an increase in pest and disease risk. Another important effect is that there will be this 20% increase in intensity of what is called 1 in 100 year rainstorm. So this is a big event, and this could inundate about 7,000 properties in the Nerang catchment in southern Queensland. Looking ahead to the future, now we have to think about climate change adaptation and mitigation. Climate change adaptation refers to taking action to adjust to or respond to the effects. while climate change mitigation refers to actions that aim to reduce the amount of climate change, for instance, to reduce the amount of CO2 emissions. So what is your role as engineer? And in this course, what we want to present the problems that we are discussing now, and we're going to later on present some of the solutions or the principles to apply solutions and for you to apply in the future.